My name is Eduardo Castello. I'm originally Spanish, but I've been working in the MIT for the past 4 years. I'm a postdoc in the Human Dynamics lab, and basically I'm a roboticist. Yeah? I make robots, and what I do is I try to make robots cooperate and collaborate in order to do way more complex things than the individual, right? Very much like human societies, but with robots, right? So one of the things that I'm doing here in the lab is trying to discover what problems we will have out of having robots around us, right? And not one, many, right? One of the things that I figure out is that when you mix a lot of robots and you make them cooperate and collaborate, you are also opening the system for some kind of a security vulnerabilities, right? So one of the things to solve them is to mix new things that apparently don't do much, with this topic, but together they do something interesting. In particular, what I do is I explore the world of crypto, the world of blockchain, and then I try to find the hidden gems, within this topic and bring them into the robotics world. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm trying to make a control plane with a blockchain in order to make the robots talk to each other, share information, coordinate, collaborate, and do all these kind of things. When we have robots around us, we are going to have a lot of complexity around us, right? When our smart home talks to our smart car, talks to our smart agenda, etc., right? The complexity of the network increases with the number of devices that we put there, right? So we need a way in which we could still understand what's going on, but at the same time increase that network, scale that network, and make it more autonomous. Because humans, we don't want to do certain things that robots will do for us, right? But at the same time, we cannot leave them completely unattended, right? Completely unbound. We need to understand what's going on in that network. So we found that the world of crypto, the world of blockchain can give us solutions to understand this kind of thing. Kind of understanding what is the history book within a robot group, right? How does that look like? What can you get, from there? We found blockchain really interesting for this problem because blockchain allows us to have a decentralized a network of agents trying to preserve the rules that we gave them to have, right? Blockchain in a sense, it's a tricky concept, right? Because blockchain means everything and nothing at the same time. It's a buzzword, right? I am not married to the concept of blockchain per se. I don't think that we should apply blockchain to every single problem that humanity has. But in this particular problem, where we have autonomous agents talking to each other and having to have this self-governance among them, because we don't want to intervene in their autonomy, blockchain has certain capabilities, certain characteristics that by default, can be used by robots in order to have transparency, in order to have auditability, in order to have in order to preserve the rules that we gave to a system, right, to a group of agents. So I think it's very interesting to apply these two concepts together. So far, what we did is we planned and designed the protocols, and then we made extensive simulation with robots, right? So right now we got into a stage in which we optimize and we prove the theories that we have, and the next step is taking it to real robots. So one of the interesting things about mixing a blockchain system with a group of robots is that now you allow the robots to talk securely with each other, share information in a secure and transparent way. And this is very interesting because once you have robots sharing kind of a history book together, now you can basically find inconsistencies. For example, you can find malicious actors. Yeah, once you have a very decentralized system. Imagine swarm of self-driving cars in a city, right? Sharing information one with another. Then you have cars, robots, any kind of autonomous agent, sharing information peer-to-peer with others, right? So the system is very fault-tolerant, it's very robust. If one car or one robot fails, the others will cope with it. But at the same time, you are increasing, you are scaling the vector attacks, right? If now I take one robot and then I reverse engineer it or take the information from it and put it back, now I know what the other robots are doing, right? With this, a blockchain and this shared history book, we can find inconsistencies. We can find if a robot got hacked, right, and starts to poison the communications or starts to say different things to different robots, right? With this, we can, for example, give reputations to robots, and we can weed them out from the system, so the whole swarm or the whole group can prevail in time. right? Without like these malicious actors. This is one of the things that blockchain can give us. So we found that once like you mix like a blockchain like system and like a group of robots like sharing data and interacting like for example with human operators, you find like a way in which these interfaces can provide the right data at the right time, right? So for example, if I'm a researcher like doing research on climate change and I just want the data in order like to prove my theories, now I don't have like to go to Antarctica in order like to deploy like a system there. Maybe a robot is there at the right place with the right data, right? Because at the end, what I want is the data, right? So if this robot allows me like to get like this data that I want, and for example did it like for somebody else in the past, this robot can collect some reputation, yeah? Can basically have like a reputation about how well did a job, right? And how like satisfying, you know, the output of its work was like to the people, right? So we can start like to assign like a reputation about the actions and the controllers like of robots, and create like a whole market about you being like an entrepreneur of a robot system, and programming it in a way in which the robots gain very high reputation for the work they have to do. One of the things that we have to realize is that like in this like system of like a distributed robotics, right, in which like one robot like per se is not like a very important, but as a collective, right, you can do very complex things. We get inspiration from other systems that do the same, especially human societies. So my work is basically understand what works in human societies, what are the incentives that makes us cooperate and collaborate, right? Even though we are very different like people and very different agents, and put it into the robot system, into the robot society, right? And understand how this could be possible, feasible, fair, like plausible, create new markets, but also be secure. One of the things that we are like conducting research on is the fact about what happens when cities, companies, and all these like big entities like create robots as infrastructure. What happens when like a swarm of self-driving cars is part of your infrastructure as a city, the same way as a highway or a dam or anything like that, right? So how do you secure this system? How do you make this system super available, like that fulfills like its purpose, but at the same time is secure, right? This is one application. But the other things that we are revisiting is, and we are thinking like about is, now that we have like a way to coordinate like different agents like in a secure way, and we have like the physical entities that act in our world, how do we make new business model? For example, what is the new vending machine of the future? Is it a drone? Is a humanoid robot that, for example, can give you services? So how do we pay this system? And in particular, we have like a project in which like a robot basically paints pictures, right? And there's like an auction like in a smart contract, like trying like to get like these pictures, right? So the robot like is painting, and at the same time there's bidders like trying like to get like the picture, but they are bidding with real like cryptocurrencies that at the end like of the bid, the robot uses in order to pay for its own electricity. So we proved that at some point in time a robot could be so autonomous doing its work that actually could sustain itself for really long periods of time. And this is possible because we are mixing the physical actuation power, and we are mixing also with the blockchain. I believe in a new class of like entrepreneurs, like after like the robots like get regulated, or some of the robots get regulated, I think that new business will be open in which like you are providing a robotic service, yeah? And you will be able like to basically maintain like these like swarms of robots which are giving like a certain service, and these robots will be able to be hired on demand, right, for certain things, right, for data, for like a service, etc., right? But one of the things that I'm really interested in is how you can leverage not only the blockchain but all the technologies that are within this blockchain that are valuable per se in order like to do this like a verifiable cooperation, this like secure cooperation, yeah? So, for example, parties that will not cooperate otherwise, right, will start to cooperate like for higher goals, right? So, if I will give you like a cryptographic like data like a structure that will allow you like to do your part as a citizen, right, and you will know that this will be like a bigger will go for the bigger purpose, right, or will be like for a bigger cost, right, and at the same time you will not know which are the other partners. Maybe you will be able to collaborate with people that you will not collaborate in the first like place, right? So I'm really interested like in these like mechanisms.